You right there, ladies and gents, how's it going? Those of you that have watched some of my videos before will know that I'm trying to make this a little bit more track day friendly, and in doing so I fitted some exhaust pipes that make it a bit more fruity than standard, but also track day noise limit friendly. So yeah, I've done that. I've put the clip-on bars on. So what's next, I hear you ask? Well, these foot pegs, they're very, very upright. They're not in the right place to give me a decent riding position when leant over on the bars. So yeah, let's get them changed.
Keep that bar rubber side down.
So to replace these, I've got myself some LSL rear sets. They're quite reasonably priced compared to some of the other things on this bike, so it didn't break the bank too much, but it's something that you want to make sure you're happy with before you do, because yeah, I don't think they're going to take them back if you suddenly decide that you don't like them. But anyway, let's get this right hand foot peg off and the brake assembly and stuff like that. Blooming crows. I'd already unknit these off camera, which is why they weren't too stiff to undo. Normally they'd be a lot tighter than that. Okay, so I've undone these two Allen bolts and that is now free. What I also need to do is get the brake master cylinder off and the spring, which has just fallen off. Okay, so these two again for the master cylinder guards, just a couple of Allen bolts. I don't think they've got a retaining nut. Ah, yes they do. That's probably a 10mm. Yeah, 10mm socket. We'll sort you out on the back there. And then the other one. And this just drops off. This is the brake plunger. I think I have to keep that. Right, so this is the rear set for this side. What I need to do is attach the brake rod, and I also need to put on the guard back onto here and then attach the master cylinder. I'm going to do the brake rod first because I'm not going to have much room for manoeuvre once I put all this together, so yeah, let's do that first. So this is an 11mm, which is odd. You'd have thought it'd be a 10 or a 12, but it's an 11mm. And once you've undone the lock nut a little bit, it will just roll up. Because this is brakes and we don't want to mess around when it comes to brakes, I'm going to be using a little bit of Loctite on all of these bits and bobs. That's not adjusted. I'm going to adjust that once it's all together. That's just back in the position it was in before on the previous rear set. Okay, so I'm having a little bit of a problem with this rod length. I can't wind it in any further, it's in as tight as it goes. But when I put it all together, the levers blocking me getting to the Allen key there. It's kind of annoying. Okay, so what I can do is actually take the brake stop off, which is what stops it, holds its position. Okay, so now what I'll be able to do is lift that up just a little bit higher, and then I've got room underneath it. This is really fiddly to do. If I didn't have the brake lines on, it'd be okay, but I've just got no room to manoeuvre, no room to wiggle. If I do one at a time, it should make it a little bit easier. There we go, that's got that started. Now then. That rear one done. I've not done it up tight, I've just done it up enough to hold it in place properly. Then put the front one through and its washer, a little bit of thread lock. And then his nut, and then tighten them up. And then this can bolt onto the frame. These rear sets are designed for the V7 with ABS, although this year I've got this bike, the latter ones did come with ABS, and obviously this one didn't. Yeah, and I think that means that this bar here is just slightly too long, because this is quite high up, as you can see there. and really I'm going to want that a little bit shorter, so then I can drop the rear brake pedal down a little bit, but we can deal with that at another time. At the moment this should be fine now. Okay, so that's the rear brake side done. I am a bit concerned that the rear brake is already on, potentially, and this has got quite a strong rear brake, so yeah, that's a bit worrying. So I might have to shorten this to make it work with this particular bike. We'll see. I've got to turn it around now anyway to do the other side, so I'll find out if it's binding or not. As with the other one, I've already just slackened off these nuts just so I'm not straining and looking like a wuss on camera. This one here was really tight, obviously, as you'd expect it to be. That's the gear lever, so you obviously don't want that falling off, and you want solid gear changes. So I'm just going to remove that now. And this should just slide off, I think. There we go. Okay, and that's got a sort of a wedge shape to it, which that fits into, and that stops it spinning on the shaft. Now I'm going to take off the foot peg. I'm going to be so sunburnt after this. So that goes on there, like that. And then you've got this countersunk washer and your countersunk nut, a little bit of Loctite. Okay, now this needs to be really tight. And that's unfitted. Sorted. Right then, ladies and gents, that was quite a simple yet complicated installation of these rear sets. I struggled because they're not actually really designed for this bike. They're designed for the one with ABS, and mine doesn't have ABS, which means that this rod here is a little bit too long. I think that's probably the only real difference between the braking systems. It works fine, it doesn't bind, and the rear brake works perfectly. If I had this the right length, then I could have put the return spring on, which would mean that it would be installed in accordance with the instructions. But because of how it is installed, I don't need to use that return spring. The other side was really simple. The only tough bit was loosening off the gear lever, and I did that kind of off camera, cheating. Obviously these aren't necessarily set up for the exact position I want for the levers, because I can't adjust this down because it will bind, because this is too long, and I can't do much with the gear side at all as far as adjustment goes, I don't think. I'll have a little ride around and see how it feels, and I'll work out whether I need to adjust that lever there to get the rear brake down a little bit lower. At the moment I like the foot peg position, but the brake lever is just a little bit too high, so I do think I'm going to have to do something about that. But we'll see. I'll give it a ride, get used to it and see how it feels. So anyway, I hope you found this interesting, and if you have a 2012-2013 V7 without ABS, you can see some of the problems you might have fitting these LSL rear sets. It's to be seen if it's going to be a problem or not. I know I can fix it by just grinding down that rod, which will make it all a bit better. Sounds like all the 13-year-old girls are in force outside my house. Joy. Anyway, right, let's wrap this up. If you haven't done so already, please click that subscribe button, and if you enjoyed this video, why not give it a little thumbs up, and if you didn't, you can always give it a little thumbs down. We don't care, we don't mind at all. It's all cool in the school. But whatever you do, please do drop in a comment. I love hearing from you. But anyway, you ride safe, take care, and I shall catch you all in the next one. Bye for now.
Keep that bar. Rock solid. Hey, no, you gotta keep that bar. Rubber side down.